They always said I wasn't family. From the moment I was born, my presence felt like an inconvenient secret. My father's relatives looked at me as if I were a shadow, something unworthy of recognition, someone to be ignored and pushed aside. At every gathering, but I knew the truth ran deeper, darker than mere disdain, and I was about to prove it. Growing up, I watched my siblings receive everything: attention, love, respect, and eventually inheritance talks whispered behind closed doors. I was the outsider, the mistake nobody wanted to acknowledge. Even my own mother seemed to hesitate when she introduced me as her child. Family dinners were battlegrounds of silent exclusion. Invitations to holidays came late or not at all, and when I was there, I was the invisible guest. But I never lost hope. I clung to the belief that blood ties couldn't be erased so easily. One secret kept nagging me relentlessly. Why did my father's will always seem to bypass me? Why was my name missing from documents that I had every right to be a part of? The whispers grew louder as I grew older. Rumors that I wasn't truly his child. Lies planted to justify my exclusion. One evening, I decided to confront the truth. Head on, I requested access to all legal documents concerning my father's estate. To my surprise, the executor resisted, throwing vague excuses. That was my cue. If they hid things from me, I would dig deeper myself. Late nights turned into weeks of relentless research. I found discrepancies, forged papers, and testimonies that didn't add up. My name had been deliberately erased from the official records. Someone had tampered with the documents to disinherit me completely. The more I uncovered, the more dangerous it became, but giving up was not an option. Finally, I discovered a hidden clause buried in an old, overlooked will, one that proved my rightful place in the family and my claim to the inheritance. But revealing it would mean facing every person who had doubted and betrayed me. Would I be ready for the storm that was coming? The moment I held that old will in my hands, a surge of adrenaline washed over me. It was fragile, yellowed with age, yet it carried the undeniable proof that I was not just a forgotten relative, but a rightful heir. But how to expose a lie that everyone had long accepted as truth? I sought legal counsel. The lawyer who took my case was cautious but intrigued. We planned a strategy that would force the family's hand during the official reading of the will. I could already imagine the shock, the gasps, the sudden shifts in their confident faces. For years, they had spoken behind my back, whispered cruel things, called me an imposter. Now, I would make them face reality. The day of the reading arrived. The room was filled with tension, thicker than I had expected. Faces that once ignored me now stared sharply. The lawyer began reading the will line by line, carefully, deliberately. Just when the expected distribution was about to be declared, he paused. He pulled out the hidden clause and announced its existence. Silence hit the room like a thunderclap. I could see the color drain from their faces. Some tried to dismiss it as a forgery. Others whispered frantic denials. But the clause was authenticated. Undeniable proof that I was my father's child and that I had been purposefully disinherited. The accusations flew fast. They claimed I was a fraud, a liar, an opportunist. But I held my ground, armed with the truth and backed by the law. Family was forced to confront their deception, their fear of losing control and status. Old wounds reopened and the atmosphere turned explosive, through tears and anger. I told my story, how I was pushed away, silenced, and made to feel less than human. The lie that I wasn't family had been their weapon to keep me out. But now it was their lie that was exposed. As the fallout settled, the family fractured. Some members distanced themselves, unwilling to accept the truth or face their own guilt. Others quietly approached me, their expressions mixed with shame and regret. The inheritance was no longer just about money or property. It was about justice, recognition, and reclaiming a lost identity. I faced backlash from those who felt threatened by my claim. Rumors spread about me, attempts were made to discredit my character, and I found myself fighting battles on multiple fronts. But my resolve only grew stronger. I documented everything, collected testimonies from old friends and employees who confirmed my father's intentions and prepared for legal battles ahead. Slowly, began to rebuild the relationship with some family members, especially those who had been honest enough to apologize. Trust wasn't easy to regain, but I was willing to try for the sake of peace. The inheritance was only part of the story. The real victory was reclaiming my rightful place in the family's history. During this process, I also uncovered more secrets, financial mismanagement, hidden assets, and even a plan to sell the family estate without my knowledge. It became clear the deception was bigger than I imagined. But with my legal team, I worked tirelessly to protect what was mine. One evening, as I stood in the old family home, now partially mine by law, I felt a strange mixture of emotions: pain from the past, anger at the betrayal, but also pride for the fight I had won. I was no longer the outsider. I was family. Finally, the final chapter of this journey was about much more than just money or legal ownership. It was about healing wounds that had been buried beneath years of silence, pain, and betrayal. I realized that the inheritance, the wealth and property were mere symbols of something far deeper: the right to be recognized, to belong, and to reclaim my dignity that had been stripped away for so long. After the court battles finally ended, and the law confirmed my rightful claim to the estate, I was faced with a decision. I could either wall myself off in anger and resentment, or try to build some form of reconciliation. Despite the scars, I chose the harder path. I invited my siblings and the relatives who were willing to face the truth to a family gathering, one last attempt to bridge the chasms that years of deception had carved between us. That day was emotionally charged beyond words. Some arrived with cautious hope, others with guarded hostility. The atmosphere was heavy with the ghosts of past grievances, silent accusations, and long-held disappointments. But as I stood before them, I spoke not just about the inheritance or the betrayal, but about the journey I had endured, my pain, my moments of despair, and ultimately my resolve to forgive. Forgiveness did not mean forgetting. It did not erase the past. But it was the key to reclaiming my future. Some accepted my words, their eyes glistening with tears of regret and relief. Others remained distant, unwilling or unable to cross the emotional barriers they had built. But I no longer needed their approval or acceptance. I had already won the most important battle, the battle for my own identity, the estate. Once a symbol of division and secrecy, slowly began to transform into a place of hope and new beginnings. Together, with those willing to rebuild, we started small projects, restoring the old house, creating spaces for shared memories, and opening doors that had been shut tight for too long. It was a slow process, filled with setbacks and small victories. But each step forward was a triumph over the past. Throughout this time, I continued to uncover more truths hidden: bank accounts, secret transactions, and the depths of the family's attempts to conceal wealth from me. But with the legal team at my side, those shadows no longer held power over me. I was armed with truth and justice, standing in the heart of the family home one quiet evening. I felt a profound mix of emotions: the sting of betrayal, the sharp pain of lost time, the quiet strength of survival, and a burgeoning hope for the future. I was no longer the forgotten child, the outsider. I was family in every sense that truly mattered. This story was not just about an inheritance, but about reclaiming what had been stolen: my name, my place, and my truth. It was a testament to resilience, courage, and the unbreakable bonds that, even when challenged by lies and betrayal, can still be restored. They said I wasn't family until I exposed the lie that hid the inheritance is a powerful, emotional narrative about a woman's relentless fight for recognition in a family that tried to erase her existence. From childhood, she was sidelined, treated as if she were a stranger in her own home, her very identity questioned, and her rightful place denied. As years passed, the exclusion grew darker and more deliberate, culminating in the deliberate erasure of her name from her father's will. But beneath the surface of whispered accusations and cold shoulders, a hidden truth waited to be uncovered. With unwavering determination, she digs through layers of deception, exposing forged documents and secret clauses that prove her undeniable claim to a legacy that was never hers to lose. The story delves deep into the complex dynamics of family betrayal, exploring how greed and lies can fracture even the closest bonds. It captures the pain of rejection and the fierce strength required to confront those who wish to keep you in the shadows. This is not merely a tale of inheritance. It is a journey of reclaiming identity, dignity, and justice through courtroom battles, personal confrontations, and emotional reckoning. She transforms from the forgotten outsider to a rightful heir, forcing her family to face the truth they long denied. Along the way, she discovers that family means more than blood. It means honesty, respect, and courage. This narrative is a testament to the power of truth and the resilience of the human spirit. It challenges the notion of what it truly means to belong and shows how one person's courage can unravel a lifetime of lies, ultimately forging a path toward healing and redemption. They said I wasn't family until I exposed the lie that hid the inheritance is a gripping and deeply emotional story of betrayal, resilience, and the relentless pursuit of truth within the confines of a fractured Namoka Mamash and the Rauchers family. From the very beginning, the protagonist's existence was questioned, her identity doubted, and her rightful place denied by those who were supposed to love and protect her. Born into a family where blood ties were overshadowed by greed and prejudice, she was treated as an outsider, a shadow meant to be forgotten. As years passed, the cold rejection transformed into something far more sinister. Whispers turned into accusations, and subtle neglect became outright exclusion. Most devastating of all was the erasure of her name from her father's will. A deliberate act designed to strip her of her inheritance, dignity, and legacy. The lie that she was not family became the cruel narrative that justified her exclusion and silenced her voice, refusing to accept a fate dictated by lies and betrayal. She embarks on an arduous journey to uncover the truth through tireless research, legal battles, and personal sacrifice. She exposes a web of deceit that entangles not only inheritance documents, but also the very fabric of family loyalty. Along the way, she confronts painful memories, fractured relationships, and the harsh realities of a family torn apart by greed. Her discovery of a hidden clause in an old will becomes the key to unlocking her rightful place. Yet revealing this truth comes with its own challenges, executions, hostility, and emotional confrontations force her to stand firm. Proving that justice is more than legal papers, it is about reclaiming identity and honor. Beyond the courtroom drama, the story explores the complex dynamics of forgiveness, healing, and the quest for belonging. It highlights how courage and truth can dismantle even the most deeply rooted lies and pave the way for reconciliation. While some family members reject the truth, others begin to seek forgiveness and rebuild broken bonds. Ultimately, this narrative is more than a tale of inheritance. It is a profound exploration of what it truly means to be family. It reveals that blood is not always enough, but honesty, respect, and the willingness to fight for justice define true kinship. The protagonist's journey from rejection to acceptance is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of unwavering determination to overcome even the most painful betrayals. They said I wasn't family until I exposed the lie that hid the inheritance. Resonates with anyone who has ever felt excluded, doubted, or wronged by those closest to them. It is a story of survival, empowerment, and the ultimate triumph of truth and love over deception and greed.